My name is Jen, and I am the maker and creator behind Handstitched Life, which is an online boutique that is a handcrafted haberdashery for makers, where I make stitch markers, progress keepers, and curate some of my favorite notions. I'm coming to you today not from my home or my studio, but from a stranger's home. I dog sit pretty regularly throughout the year, and this weekend I am dog sitting for the parents of one of my best friends while they are out of town. So if you hear their Doberman Gypsy barking in the background or their little dog Herman, I sincerely apologize because I know it will happen. But today I have a very short amount of time to film a little episode for you, and I have a finished object, 2 whips, an acquisition, and shop news. So let's get started with those. The finished object I have for you today was one that I showed you last episode that was a whip, and it is my autumn socks. And here they are. I just finished them this morning. If you were on my Instagram this past week, Friday, I'm filming, it is Saturday, September 18th today in the morning. But last night, Friday night, I sat down and I was like, I'm going to finish this toe. It was like the only thing I had left on the second sock. And wouldn't you know it, I screwed up the decreasing. Instead of getting to a certain point in the decrease knit all alternating rows, I just went straight through that until I was ready to Kitchener, and it was like a point. And I was like, oh, I messed up. And I needed to rip back 10 rows and get to the point where I had 18 stitches on my needles, and then decrease every row. So I did some of that on Friday night, and then this morning I sat down to finish it, and this is one of the finished socks. This is the Vanilla on 9-inch Circulars pattern by Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady. I haven't blocked these or washed these yet. They are like fresh off the needles. But it is using Super Sock. Now that I've got this on my hand, I need to get in the bag. The yarn is Super Sock. It is a German sock brand from online. It was 100 grams of 75.25. The color was 2339. And I just thought it looked really autumny without being like oranges and pumpkins. A really pretty like chartreusey green, a spruce green, an oatmeal, and a purple that kind of matches my shirt. This has a heel flap and gusset with a slip stitch heel, which is like my favorites. I've made an afterthought heel sock before and haven't worn them too much yet. I pretty much only wear socks in the winter because most of the time I'm in my chacos if the weather's nice enough or in flats. So these will be good boot socks. My recipe for it, going off of her pattern, is 20 rounds of 1x1 ribbing, 20 rounds for the leg, which gets me like a good above the ankle length. Then the heel flap, 60 rounds for the foot, and then the decreasing rows. So there is a pair of socks. Thumbnail. A pair of socks off the needles. What I have left is this little guy, and then this ball. I haven't weighed this. I don't have my scale here while I'm house sitting, but I would probably say that this is close to half, if not a little less. So I could probably get another pair of socks out of these if I made them shorties. I also have a 2-year-old nephew I can make socks out of this for, baby socks, that kind of stuff. So this will just go in my scrap bin when I get home. So that's the only finished object for this week. The next portion is going to be my works in progress. The first whip I want to share with you is in my Butterfly and Bugs project bag. I got this in a D-stash from Apron Addict on Etsy, so I don't know who the original maker was, but it's a nice roomy zipper top bag with a handle. This project has been in here probably for the last week or so. I got to the first part of the chart and then put it back down. And it is the Sparkling Cider Hat by Kristen of Volenvine. Let me open up my thing here. So got the pattern here. This is my first like chart project that I've been trying to work from the chart on. I prefer written instructions just because it's easier for me to follow along with those than it is for me to follow along with chart, but I am working on it. And as a refresher, these are the yarns I'm working with. This is from Knitting the Stash, when she did a collab, I guess, with Seven Sisters Farms, which is local to her. It is a 2-ply fingering weight. And then this is an unnamed, I'm fairly certain it's Surrey, kind of halo-y mohair situation going on. So I'm holding these double. And then eventually I will be doing beading. I still haven't decided on the color of bead. I have Nutmeg from Toho, and then I'm not sure what this color is. I think it's Grape Mist, also from Toho. But they both kind of just go really well with the yarns. So I'll have to decide if I want to go for like a little darker moment or kind of more monotone. So those are the yarns I'm working with. And this is the tangled mess of progress I have so far. I have a size 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter DPN. That's a Chiagu needle in there for any cabling that needs to happen. And then this is the progress I've made so far. I finished the 1x1 ribbing, and then again have started on the first lace chart. So I've got this little switchy doohickey there. I'm using Knitter's Pride Zings in the size that it calls for. So these are on a US size 4 or a 3.5 needle. And then I have one of my Witching Hour little Ouija planchettes that are in my shop. Now that Halloween is upon us, those and my other Ouija planchettes are like selling like hotcakes. So if you like that kind of stuff, feel free to check it out. I also have some stitch markers that are just beaded with little seed beads on here too to mark up the different sections. So I have several of those in there. Now that I am finished with my socks, I'm hoping to devote more time to this, but I am really enjoying the fabric that it's making. You can't really see too much here, but it is giving out that, like, Surrey is giving out a really nice halo effect, and I like the way that the colors are working together, and I think it'll be just a really nice neutral hat with some pops of that beading that will go on. But for now, this is going back in the project bag until I have more mental capacity to read the charts and do the beading. This is the crochet hook I grabbed for the beading. It's a Clover Armor Steel crochet hook number 6, which is a 1.00 millimeter for the beads. So that's that. Not forget to put the pattern back in here. I should say that I am keeping all of my whips and notions and stuff in this project bag that I got from like my Secret Santa partner in the JCs. They got this, I believe, from Amazon, but it has 4 pockets in there that divide up, and then the top is it's got this like section here where you can thread your project and your yarn through, so it all stays in those compartments. I haven't been doing that just because I'm working with kind of finicky yarn, but I have some like languishing whips that I didn't want to leave out. Seam yarn that's caked up for a future project. Notions, needles, all that kind of stuff in there. So yeah, this will be going back in the giant project bag, as will my finished project. I have all of these. These are all bulb stitch markers that I use for counting rows. I do every 10 on my socks, and then these are just some random dinosaur progress keepers I made for myself not too long ago. So that's that whip. The whip that has been taking up most of my time this past week or so has been a headband that my sister requested. Last episode I shared that we had gone down to the Allegan Fiber Festival in Allegan, Michigan, which is about an hour from us. While we were there, we stopped at the Leading Wind Fiber Arts booth. They carry my beaded stitch markers in their shop. So I just wanted to say hi and introduce myself in person. And then we also picked up Boo, which is one of their Halloween colorways. It's orange and green and black, and it just fades throughout that. And my sister had requested that yarn and made into what she called an ear scarf at the time. She was 18. She meant headband. So I went on my Ravelry and I found the Hydra headband, which is from Fiber Tales, and it's a super cute headband pattern that's been working up super quickly. This is the project so far. It has really simple repeats of the pattern. That's 4 rows. And with it only being a couple of stitches across, it's knitting up really, really fast. So I believe I have 30 repeats of the pattern, and it calls for 34. But as I mentioned in my last podcast, my family has notoriously large heads. So I'll probably be doing close to 40 just to make sure that it fits well. And then it will need a good block and stuff when it's done just to show off the cabling. But it has like these little baubles that they aren't even baubles. It's kind of like a poofy leaf in vine stitch that is just so pretty. And then these knit panels on either side of the cable are going to have a little slip stitch treatment to them after you finish knitting the whole thing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this get finished. I am using, again, Knitter's Pride Zings in the 16-inch circular, just because I like being able to do that and know that the needles aren't going to fall out. These are the US 6, which is a 4.00 millimeter, and that's been really working well for me. I also have a size 6 Chiagu DPN that I'm just sticking in the yarn ball and keeping in the project bag. But yeah, this has been really a joy to work on. The yarn is super squishable and soft. It's a superwash merino. I forget which base of Leading Wind Fiber Arts it's on, but that information will be on my Ravelry project page and in the show notes on my blog. Yeah, it's just been really fun to work on, and again, super soft. The progress keeper I have on here to keep track is one of my little gnomes. And I have that on our medium lobster clasp to just clip on some of the stitches. So these are also a progress keeper and charm that I bought on a whim from one of the websites I get my materials and supplies from, and I can barely keep them in stock. People love gnomes. And I think it's like Halloween-y without being like overtly Halloween. Oh, and it's not on a medium clasp. It's on a small lobster clasp. But yes, so that's the other whip I have, and that should be done soon. Because again, the repeats just are super simple to go through. So I'm going to wind up some of this excess yarn here. Stick my needles in the ball. Nothing awkward about that. And then the project bag, I just threw this project in an organza bag that I had from an order from one of my suppliers. So that just has been traveling with me as I've been house sitting. So that's all the whips I have that I've been actively working on. I have a few other that are like just languishing and sitting either in my blue bucket bag or at home in my little shelving unit that I keep all my knitting stuff in. But I do have some project plans for some DK yarn. So now we will move into the acquisitions portion of our podcast. The only acquisition I have to show this episode is from Neighborhood Fiber Company. This is their Studio DK, which is a 100% superwash merino, 275 yards to 4 ounces or 100 grams, 5 to 6 stitches per inch, US 4 to 6. And this colorway is called Cross Street Market. I got this from one of my local yarn shops in West Michigan. We don't have a Grand Rapids based yarn shop anymore. Unfortunately, Michigan Fiber Studio, which was most accessible in near downtown Grand Rapids, they unfortunately closed their doors earlier this year. But we do have several in kind of the outskirts of Grand Rapids and along the lakeshore and further inland. But this was one that I got at Country Needleworks in Jenison, Michigan, which is just off of Chicago Drive. They have so much yarn, indie dyers, commercial dyed yarn, all sorts of fiber content, and yeah, all sorts of different makers and brands and things like that. And these were actually on sale, so I got them for a pretty good discount. And I got two, because these were the only two in the, Cross Street Market colorway. And I liked like that blushy pink peach color. And also because I want to make DK socks. I think they will just be so great for in the house or as boot socks when I take our dogs out for walks in the snow. So I got two. I don't think I'll use all of this yarn unless I make them like super long socks, but I'm super excited to play with some DK. I have a few other DK yarns in my stash, but primarily I have worsted and fingering right now. But I just keep seeing more and more DK projects pop up on Ravelry that I definitely need to invest in some more DK weights. So that's the only acquisition I have to show you. The other acquisition I had also from Country Needleworks was pretty much every single size of 16-inch circulars from the Knitter's Pride Zing line. I've had like 3 or 4 that I've used the past year that I've really enjoyed using. Otherwise, all of my 16-inch circulars are bamboo, which is great, but sometimes the bamboo is just a little bit too sticky for the yarn or for what I want to use it for. For instance, the sparkling cider hat, like the fluffy Surrey was just getting kind of like stuck on the needles, so I really needed to switch to a metal-based needle, and I didn't have the size zings that I needed. So when I went to peruse for DK yarn, I also picked up, I believe, size 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, and 11 from there. And it was a bit of an investment price-wise, but also one that I was happy to make because I am headed into my favorite season to knit in, fall and winter, obviously. And hats are just one of the things that I always have on my needles. So I really wanted to make sure I had the tools available for me to be able to pick up a new hat pattern and knit it when I want to. So that's the other acquisition I had. And I think we'll move into shop updates. As far as shop updates goes, I wanted to say thank you for checking out the website, hi Gypsy, and checking out the Halloween pre-orders for the Mystery Advent, 13 Days of Halloween. Those pre-orders have closed, and actually I've already got them all shipped out. Again, it's like the middle of September, and I was very pleased to be able to make time to make all of the beautiful stitch markers that will be in that advent calendar and all of the other goodies as well. It was a very interesting, it's the first time I've ever done like an advent or like a mystery kit like that. And it was really fun to find the charms for the progress keepers and do the beading on the stitch markers. I'm so excited for some of the stitch markers that are in there. I won't be releasing the special stitch markers that I made for the box in the shop because I wanted it to kind of be special for the box. But I do still have pre-orders for the Christmas in Winter Wonderland Advent kits. That will be a 25-piece item or 25-piece Advent. And I have like a classic Christmas theme that you'll get all of, the things that you think of as far as classic Christmas. So some reds and greens, dogs barking. It's okay, Gypsy. Sorry, the wind is spooking the dogs. So there'll be some more barking, I bet. Shh, it's okay, bud. Yes, so classic Christmas will be classic Christmas. And then the other theme I have is Winter Wonderland. So less Christmassy, more wintry. So favorite winter activities as charms and progress keepers, some non-Christmassy colors, that sort of thing. That is open and will be open until the end of October. So there's plenty of time to sign up for that. And more details will be in the show notes or on my website, shophandstitchedlife.com. As far as life updates go, I don't have too many. Yesterday, I took a long lunch break and got my first manicure and pedicure since 2019. The last time I had one was for my friend's wedding in the fall of 2019. And it was great to be there again and kind of taking time for myself and to take care of my body and take some time where I was being pampered. So that was nice. I go to Sarah's Nails in Grand Rapids. They have 2 locations and they are fantastic. Lots of options as far as polish colors and packages and things like that, and they're fairly affordable as well. So I got like an orangey pinky color on my fingers and my toes. And the pedicure package I had like a hot stone massage, which I didn't realize I needed as much as I needed. My legs and feet feel so great today, which is great because I'm going on a little hiking meetup later with a new friend later today, and I'm a little scared. But I needed to do something for myself, so I did. What else? I don't know. Oh, that's probably another life update. I can't remember if I mentioned it in my last episode or if I've just been mentioning it on Instagram, but in July of this year, so 2 months ago, I had bariatric surgery, and I'm now like officially 8+ weeks out, which means I can eat a regular diet, which means a couple times a day I can eat up to 4 ounces of food, which is not very much. Typically with that, you stick between like 800 to 1,000 calories, and I have to get in at least 60 grams of protein and half a gallon of water or other liquids of my choice that are sugar-free a day. And that's been going fine. I've been out of my element as far as dog sitting and house sitting and stuff. So I haven't been the best at like preparing, 2-ounce and 4-ounce portions of things ahead of time, but I have bought some food and have some food where I stay that like I know the portion sizes that fit within there. So that's been going fine. I can now have regular like caffeinated things in normal quantities. So I've been enjoying drinking coffee again. I'm normally a coffee in the morning and then tea in the afternoon and evening kind of drinker. I don't drink alcohol, so I spend most of my money on coffee and tea when it comes to beverage choices. And there's a new coffee shop in my area called Eternal Coffee, and they roast all their beans in-house and do pour over pretty exclusively, and they have a Wonderland blend from Joe's Brothers Coffee, which is another local coffee roaster that has just been amazing. And I've been adding in half and half and some sugar-free pumpkin spice syrup to that, and that's been a really helpful go-to. I also take that coffee and then put it in a blender with some unflavored protein powder and make it like a protein drink, which is helpful in the mornings. Still been sticking to protein drinks in general to help me hit my protein goals, just because I've been finding that eating is annoying. As a bariatric patient, it's just annoying. Like, I want to eat things. Like, I want to eat, but then I get to a certain point where I feel way full. And then I have a ton of like leftovers because it's hard to cook just like a half an ounce of a meal, or not half an ounce, a half a cup of a meal. And I don't like eating leftovers because if I were to cook just for most recipes, you can get down to 2 people. That would last me a whole week of food. So it's annoying. So I've been eating a lot of like cheese and like lunch meats and things like that. But I actually am going to cut this off now and eat some Korean bulgogi. I think that's how you say it. Some Korean food that I got last night. And try to enjoy that and drink some more water before my hike. So I will leave you here now. And I hope you have a great week ahead of you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun YouTube-y stuff. I do have a newsletter where I send out show notes, a roll-up of blog posts. I also announce new collections, sales, that sort of thing on my newsletter, which you can find and sign up for at shophandstitchedlife.com. All right, thanks so much. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.